Okay, today's lesson, Chapter 8, Lesson 4, is on multiple representation of functions. So basically, today you are going to learn how to represent a function as an equation, in words, as a graph, and in function tables. So it kind of puts everything we've learned in the last 3 lessons all together. So let's start the real world link here. In the real world link, it says, a group of friends are going to the museum. Each friend must pay an admission price for $9. And number 1 says complete the table and graph the ordered pairs. Number of friends, comma, total cost. So, if it's $9 per friend, they already have it done for us that one friend would cost $9. So 2 friends would cost $18. 3 friends would cost $27, and 4 friends would cost $36, because you're multiplying the number of friends by 9 to get the total cost. Now to graph that, you just have to treat these like ordered pairs, 1 comma 9. 2 comma 18, 3 comma 27, and 4 comma 36, which I will do to the right. Let me just make this a little bigger so you can see it here. Okay. So 1 comma 9, go over to the 1 up 9 right about there. 218, 327, and 436. Okay, so number 1's done. Describe the graph. Well, when I look at that graph, I would just say the graph is linear. Oh, let me get my pen smaller. Okay, write an equation to find the total cost of n tickets. Now remember when we wrote equations, we said always start with y equals. Now notice this time they're using different variables. So n is the number of tickets, and the total cost right here, we're not going to use a dollar sign. We could use maybe C for total cost. So we're going to find C, so you start with C, equals 9 times whatever n is, because we're multiplying n by 9 to get the total cost. So that's our equation. And 4, list the ordered pair for the cost of 5 friends to go to the museum. Describe the location. You don't have to describe the location, but the ordered pair would just be, if we continued the table and you had 5 friends, you would have 5 friends, and 5 times 9 is 45. Okay, so that's just showing a simple function in a graph, with words a little bit, and in a function table. So on to the page. So we are going to go over these examples here, and in these examples, they're kind of real-world examples with dependent and independent variables. And in each example, you're going to have to write an equation to find something. Now, remember before, when it's just a simple XY problem, we always start with y equals. Now, in these real-world examples, they use letters that are not X and Y. So you have to know how to start your equation, and I'll show you that as we go over example 1 and 2. So in example 1, it says the drama club is holding a bake sale. They are charging $5 for each pie they sell. Write an equation to find the total earned T for selling pea pies. Alright, so here's how you know what to start your equation with. When it says write an equation to find the total amount earned T, whatever they are asking you to find, that's how you start your equation. So if we have to find the total amount T, you would start your equation with T equals. Now, P represents the number of pies. So if it's $5 for each pie, you would do 5 times P. So multiplying 5 times P, the number of pies, would get you T, the total amount earned. In example 2, you'll see similar but different situation. It says, in a science report, Mia finds that the average adult breathes 14 times each minute when not active. Write an equation to find the total breaths B a non-active person makes in M minutes. So, notice what I highlighted there. It tells me what I'm going to find, breaths B. That's how I'm going to start my equation, with B equals. Now, a person breathes 14 times each minute, and M is the number of minutes. so you would multiply 14 times m. So my equation is b equals 14m. All right, now let's go down to the practice problems below. In A, we'll read it, and I'm going to give you a little hint before you do it. It says, a mouse can travel 8 miles per hour. Write an equation to find the total distance d a mouse can travel in h hours. So I gave you a hint on how to start your equation. So pause the video, do A, and when you're done, restart the video to see if you're right. Go. Okay, so this is what you should have for A. Remember what I highlighted. To find the total distance d, that means your equation should start with d equals. Now, as far as the function rule, h is the number of hours, and a mouse can travel 8 miles per hour. So that would be 8 times h. D equals 8 times h. Now, B, I want you to do completely on your own. So pause the video, do B, and when you're done, see if you're right. Go. Okay, so it says Samantha can make 36 cookies each hour. Write an equation to find the total number of cookies C that she can make in h hours. So what I highlighted is what we have to find, so your equation should start with C equals, because we're finding the total number of cookies. Now, here's what we know. We want to know she can make in h hours, and it's 36 cookies per hour, so it would be 36 times h. So C equals 36 times h. All right, on this page. Now on this page is where we get it all together. So we're going to have equation, function tables, and graphs. So example 3 is going to be about the function table and the equation, and example 4 is going to be about graphing the equation. They kind of go together in this situation, so we'll show you as we go through it. In example 3, let's make this a little bigger. Starting right here, it says the student council is holding a car wash to raise money. They are charging $7 for each car they wash. So that's going to be important here. Now, in the problem, it says write an equation and make a function table. So we have to do an equation and a function table to show the relationship between the number of cars C and the total amount earned T. Now, the first thing in these situations you want to do is make your function table. So they already have it done for you here. So they have the cars C, cars washed, 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, that's the independent variable, because that could be anything. If they washed 55 cars, this would be 55. If they washed no cars, this would be 0. Now, it's $7 for each car they washed. So you would take the number of cars and multiply by 7, which is where we get the rule 7 times C. And here you'll see you take the number of cars washed, 1, 2, 3, 4, and multiply it by 7. 1 times 7, 2 times 7, 3 times 7, 4 times 7, and you get the total amount earned T. Now, you're going to be making that table in a minute. Now, you have to then use this table to write your equation. Now, remember how if it was x, y, you always start with y equals. Now, x would be the independent variable, and y would be the dependent variable, because it depends on how many cars you wash. So in this situation, instead of starting with y equals, we're going to start with t equals, because we want to find the total amount earned. Now, if it's $7 per cost of car, we actually have the function rule right there. So t equals 7 times c. So once you get the table, it's kind of easy to get your equation. Now, the last thing you're going to do in 4 is graph the ordered pairs. So let me show you how this works. You see these values, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these 7, 14, 21, 28. They become your ordered pairs. So look down at example 4. It says 1, 7, 2, 14, 3, 21, and 4, 28. So all you got to do is graph those. 0, 0, so 1, 7, 2, 14, 3, 21, and 4, 28. So you're taking these values from your table and graphing them on your graph. Now on the next page, we're going to have you try one. So you're going to be working on C and D. Now I am going to give you a hint for C. So let's go through and read this, and we'll highlight what is important. It says, while in normal flight, a bald eagle flies at an average speed of 30 miles per hour. Now, when I read C, it says, write an equation and make a function table to show the relationship between the total distance d that a bald eagle can travel in h hours. Now, it says to write an equation and make the function table, but here's what you really want to do. You want to start by making your function table, because once you have the function table, it is much easier to get your equation. So, here's what I want you to do. First thing I want you to do is, using this information here, that an average speed of a bald eagle is 30 miles per hour, I want you to fill in the function table. Now, I'll give you a hint. It's easy to start with 0. Oh, let me turn on pen. First, let me make it bigger. Since it's your independent variable that can be anything, it's easier to start with 0, 1, and 2. And then your dependent variable, the distance, depends on how many miles you fly. So remember, it's 30 miles per hour. So what I want you to do first is fill in the distance based that a bald eagle can fly 30 miles per hour. So pause the video, fill in the table, then restart to see if you got it right. Okay, so here's what you should have. If a bald eagle can fly 30 miles per hour, in 0 hours, it's not going to fly any miles. In 1 hour, it's going to fly 30 miles. In 2 hours, it's going to fly 60. Now, what you're really doing here, and I'm going to blow this up real big to make it easy to write, is you are really multiplying the number of hours times 30. So 0 times 30 is 0. 1 times 30 is 30. 2 times 30 is 60. So if you can imagine, in h hours, if you multiply by 30, you are going to get 30h. Now, here's what you got to do. You've got to now write your equation. Now remember, you always want to start with the dependent variable, the second one. So remember, if this was x and y, this would be x, this would be y, and you would start with y. Now, it's not x and y, so that means you have to start with this, d. So that's the only hint I'm going to give your equation. It should start with d equals. Now, pause the video, see if you can finish that equation, and restart. Go. Okay, so this is how you get the rest of your equation. You start, remember, like I said, you start with the d equals, and then you look at the function rule. Remember, for each number, we multiplied by 30. So when we got to h, we did h times 30, which is 30h. So that 30h just has to go after your equation, d equals 30 times h. And if I read that with words, it means the distance of a bald eagle is 30 times the number of hours it flies, because it goes 30 miles per hour. Now in D, it says graph the ordered pairs of the function, analyze the graph. So in this one, you're going to do two things. First off, you're going to graph it using the ordered pairs up here. Second, you're going to analyze the graph. So give a good sentence or two talking about it. So I want you to pause the video and then restart it to see if you're right. Remember, graph and write a sentence or two. Go. All right, let's see how you graphed it. Now, remember, our ordered pairs are the numbers above. So let me get my pen ready. So this here is 0, 0. So I'm going to write 0, 0 is located right here at the origin. Let me make that even bigger so it's easier to see. Right here at the origin. 130, go over 1 up 30 would be right there. 260. And you could keep going. 3 would be 90. So that is your graph. Now, analyzing the graph. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to write a couple sentences and describing it. And you don't have my exact words, but you should have the gist of it. So let me pause it, and then I'll write, and it will reappear. Okay, so this is what I came up with. So two things I said in this one. The one is the graph is linear. That's the bare minimum. Yeah, it's linear. It's a straight line. But you also want to talk about this part. For each hour, it increases by 30. Notice that for every hour, it goes up by 30. Another hour goes up 30 more. Another hour goes up 30 more. So you want to say something about the graph. You could say for each hour, the distance increases by 30 if you want to sound even better. But if you don't have enough written, like if you just said it was linear, make sure you add this so that you have enough written for this. All right, that's it for today. You have to finish any other work that you might owe. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen.